And so have legal, have somebody to review your legal documents. Don't imagine that they don't have an ulterior motive. They're just giving us money now. When employees work for people, it's not necessarily I'm working for a non-profit. Is I work for an organization that I love, uh, and meeting my need at the same time. So this is now where we're doing some work to make sure that Irede is that choice that people are making when it comes to uh, an employer. And I think that's where we are. But like I said, still evolving, still learning, and I believe we're getting better daily.
Thanks a lot once again for all that you shared around, how to attract and retain people. And, it's exciting to hear about, the rigor and the thoughtfulness that you and your team are putting into this, right? Because at the end of the day, people are the bedrock of any organization, right? And just bringing them in, you're arranging for them to be mentored, you're trying to benchmark your compensation and benefits to ensure that within the industry at least you're competitive, right? And which is, I think, is a sustainable way to go about it versus just trying to benchmark versus people you're not competing with for talent, right? So it's really great to hear that. I'm sure that some young people that will hear this perhaps will reach out to you to see if they can do some work with you, right? I hope we get some of that, some of them coming through the door, right? Now, I want us to touch a little bit on. I'm not sure. I'm thinking of asking this question in dramatic time to ask the two questions as one, and then you unpack them as you see needed. Number one is around. Okay, let me ask this standalone question first. So, number one is around what would you consider? What would you consider the inflection point, right, in or is it the tipping point or the inflection point in this your journey, right? So I know the first 3 years and then things, but if you step back again and look at it in the last 13 years, what point would you say that now this is really the inflection point, and what would you consider to be the factor that triggered that?
I think I'd say when we turn 10, um, when we turn 10, I started rethinking a couple of things. And that's when, the evolution really with respect to people started. Um, I think also it's just wanting to do more, realizing it almost felt like we now know how to give limbs. What next? Now that we can give limbs, now that, that's when we started thinking of production of the limbs in house. That's when we started thinking research. That's when we started, thinking of having our own place in terms of like an Irede rehabilitation center where we're doing like full rehabilitation. Because when you're giving a limb, it goes beyond just the limb, there's physio, right? There is the psychotherapy. There's so much that is involved, right? I was just at that point when we turned 10, and I think it was the quest for more, the quest to make sure that living a limitless life, and just realizing that being limitless for this child amputees goes beyond just I have a fancy prosthesis that I can move around with. It's their life in general. So we started thinking beyond just limbs to a full life that can be made. So I think it was one content. So I'd say roughly 3 years ago was when we got to this point. And then it kind of started changing our paradigm towards doing things. That's when we started thinking of are we paying the right salaries? Do we have the right people to deliver the future? That's when we started thinking of okay, what else apart from making limbs, and that's what birthed research really for us. And I told you all the conversation about insurance and just really thinking outside of the place to say, what's our advocacy if insurance companies are not supporting limbs and they're thinking of it as cosmetics? So yeah, those are some of the things.
And I mean, that's very clear. Thanks a lot for sharing that, Crystal. I hear that very clearly. 10 years, sorry, when you hit 10, which was about 3 years ago, a lot of things started popping up. But it looks like the trigger was not even anything external. It looks like the trigger was something internal, something, just that desire to do more, to reach more, and to say this can even be more exciting than it is currently, right?
Oh,
Cool, cool, cool. Thanks for sharing that. Now I go to you know the more the mushy stuff, right? A little bit of a mushy stuff, right? So, two questions, right, and then we will wrap it up. The first one is around what would you consider your, what has been the pain point, or what would you consider your pain point, right, in the course of, you know, 13 years that you've done this, that you look back and say, man, that was painful on one hand. On the other hand, is if you have to do it all over again, right? If you have to start it all afresh, right? What will you do differently, right? What will you do differently? I think that's kind of summarizes it.
what will I do differently? I'll buy a yacht and, just una colada. Okay, so hmm, pain points. There have been a couple of pain points, but I think there are two that I will talk about, and also position it as something for people to look out for. Um, and the first one will be people. People, because I think, like I said, it's one of the evolving parts. So recently I was just looking at how many people in 13 years that I've worked with Irede Foundation, and they've been a lot, really. We've had people that we've had to let go of, we've had painful exits, we've had so just getting the right kind of people to work with us to deliver the mind is something that we're still, like I said, evolving with, and it's been a pain point at different points, because maybe we would have been able to move much faster uh and farther if should we have had some kind of resources, human resource that we worked with. And those resources we are sometimes getting in volunteers, but if we had in-house, I think it would speed up our work a lot more. And the second one was something that happened much earlier, um which was we signed a contract to work with a corporate, for, you know when we were just starting up, maybe like that 3-4 years into already, and they were supposed to be like a major funder for us, but they didn't see a part of the contract. And now I bring it to legal. Sometimes when you're starting something with your passion and everything, even though, but we didn't pay attention to the details of being able to own what it is. I think at that point I was still looking at the non-profits as in, come and help us, come and help us. I
Mm,
necessarily did not see the value that we brought to the table,
table.
per se. But
Mm,
yeah, and so they signed a contract, and they felt like they were a superior partner.
mm,
From where I sit right now, there's no partner that is more superior. It doesn't matter what you bring to the
mm.
table. What I bring to the table,
It's
you
unique.
you
Mm,
don't bring to. It's so unique to me that
yeah.
you can't do it. That's need me. Either you're the one that called me, or you. You need me to deliver that, and I need you to bring in that part. So we are
Mm,
partners.
mm,
But these guys looked at us as a lower partner, or
mm,
almost like we're just handing something over to them. So when they didn't keep the part of their contract, and I challenged it, they thought, "Oh, who are these people?" And battle went on for a bit, and eventually that relationship went sour. Uh, so I had to sit back and reflect again, and ask myself, what could I have done differently? And I think that as I speak to people that are starting their organizations, especially nonprofits, you have to see yourself as a valued partner from the beginning. And so when you enter into the have those conversations, you have conversations as a valued partner, not as in, please come and give us money. Whether they are bringing money, the fact that somebody brings money does not make them most valued partner. There's no most valued player. We are coming together to create impact in the nonprofit space. So that was my first learning. I saw that I went into that room that way. Secondly, my second learning, which we did right, was to see that in fact, now when I go into the room, I bring my partnership conversation. I tell you how I want to be addressed. And so legal, have somebody to review your legal documents. Don't imagine that they don't have an ulterior motive. They're just giving us money now. Because those terms of reference are of the contract, if you violate, these so-called higher partners will point you to it.
Hmm.
So you have to understand the implication
What you're
of
signing up
everything that
for.
you
Hmm.
yeah, there's a document that we just signed off on. In fact, no, we've not signed on it. We actually told them, please take out this clause, please add this clause to it. And it's taken almost 2 months. We've been going back and forth. And you will wonder, oh, they are just about to give you money now. But those they were not very clear. They looked very shady. So after I read and I felt like, I said, you know what, this is beyond me. I passed it to my lawyer. By the time the lawyer came and, called out so many things, you will ask yourself, this is just supposed to be an agreement to donate money to an organization. Why are we having kind of back and forth? Really, from my experience, I realized that if you don't read through those fine lines, it might even be as little as on a quarterly basis, you need to come back to us with reports and all of this. So those things are critical. You read through that. So I'd say those were the two biggest pain points really that I have had. I don't want to emphasize the one on funding because I think everybody needs funds and you need funds. What was your second question again?
Yeah, so
What will I
I don't know. I think what will you do differently? I guess you kind of covered it, but if there is anything you can call out along that, it would be great.
Um, I think I was blessed because I'd worked with an organization like Procter& and Gamble to have clarity into setting up systems and processes that would help for credibility and accountability. But I think just putting it out there for people, um, set up your process as if you are a Fortune 500 company from the beginning. Even when you don't have HR manager, have a vision of what it will look like in the next 10 years, in the next 20 years. Of course, you're going to be flexible. You don't have to say, oh, I've put it like this, it must be like this. I think that just really helps because then you will know from the beginning when we have donors, we will raise invoices, we will whatever. It will push you to look for tools that will help you to deliver the things that you need to deliver. And credibility and accountability is critical. We do that today. I want to encourage any nonprofit that is starting to from the beginning. People ask me, why are you publishing um on why are you putting it out there? Your audited financials. Like it's just self accountability. Nobody is asking us to do it, but we are just doing it. So go and look at it. So it's what I'm going to send to you is not going to be different from what you are finding online. So I think that's just the two key things.
Thanks a lot. Just one or two more questions, and then we'll wrap this up. And the first one is coming behind the opportunity that you and I have to work for an organization like like Procter and Gamble, right? And if you'll agree with me that PNG is not just like a business; it's also a business school in a sense, right? You learn a whole lot, right? But there are a lot of people out there who are aspiring to be able to do this kind of stuff you're doing, or who have some kind of pain they want to turn into some kind of purpose, right? And they've never had the opportunity to work, or that opportunity of working in an organization like that, right? What would your advice be for them to bridge that gap, right? So that they don't spend the first 10 years trying to just learn the lessons that you learned, working. How would you advise to go about it? That will be the first question. And the final question, this is final question, is final question is, Crystal, if we turn back the hand of time 30 years ago, 15 years ago, right? And you have the opportunity, you see all the future earnings you can make in PNG, and you see this direction having come this far. Will you still make that same decision? Will you still go this direction that you have, come this direction that you've come? So the first question and the second question, and then we'll wrap it up. Thank you.
Okay. Hmm. Okay, so for someone that wants to follow this path, I think the first thing that I want to tell you is learn, 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 unlearn. The world has become such a global village that there is so much that is available out there for you to learn for free. But also, there are paid sessions, courses that would help you to get even a lot more. So, for instance, I run a mentoring program. I run a consulting for people that are starting up. But they're a whole lot, and so you'll be able to get those experiences from just putting yourself out there to learn. The second one will be get a mentor. Um, there is so much also that is not written down on pen and paper. So one of the key things that, like I said, we do at Irede is to pair people with mentors, and that I learned very early working in Procter and Gamble. So you need coaches, because there are some core things that happen that are peculiar to you. I was working on a consultant yesterday. We're putting together a part, I had gotten this consultancy and I was working on the document and I wanted to send it to my clients. But I just said, you know what, let's have a chat. I was done with the document, but I decided to have a chat, like just like a wrap up chat. And when I started listening to the person, I looked at the document I had created, kind of fitted into most of the things, but there were core things that were missing just because, I'd not spoken with this person. And then the person did ask me a question to say, what do I do in this instance? I'm not going to put that in the document, but we were able to have the conversation. I'm like, this will be my guide as to how you go about this. And that's why you need mentors, coaches, uh, along the way. And you need sponsors. You need people that will be there in the room to give you that opportunity. I've enjoyed that a lot for Irede. There are people sometimes that are in the room and they're putting out their voice and they're saying, we will go with this organization. We will support. Some of them know me, some of them don't know me. They have just been consumed about the work that we do, that they're saying, we think if you give an opportunity. So you need those people through your journey to be able to succeed either as a small nonprofit, as a mid-tier nonprofit, or a large nonprofit, you do need people. In fact, I beg to say that for nonprofits, the biggest skill that you need to have is building and sustaining relationships. I've not seen it written in any book, but I know that in my 13 years experience of being in this space is the biggest skill that you need to be able to deliver your work. Then would I do this again? Yes, 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 yes. Anybody that knows me or that, if you've met me, you know how passionate I am about the work that I do with the children, with people that I lead, with everything already. I'm so consumed with it. I love it. It wakes me up. For lack of a better word, gives me a mojo that nothing else gives me. It makes me very happy. So when I'm coming to you for help, you you don't have a choice, so you have to help me. Because just realize that you yourself will be Irede enthusiast. Uh, I will do this over and over again, especially because it gives me a lot of fulfillment and value. Makes me happy, and I think I'm doing what I should be doing at this time. So yeah, I am happy.
Wow. 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 Thanks a lot, Crystal. Super thankful for all that you have shared with us today. I mean, how much can we pay for this? We don't even have the money to pay you anyway. We are not for profit. I will not start raising donations. That's just on the light channel. So thanks a lot, Crystal, for
No,
all that you've shared today. It's been a pleasure
okay.
talking to you in the last 1.5 hours or so. Thank you. I know the timing is not, the best. I know, the situation is not like perfect, but then you came through anyway. So we are super thankful for having you, and I'm sure that our viewers and listeners from all over will also be very thankful for all that
Mhm.
you have shared. Been a pleasure having you on board. Thanks a lot.
Thank
Thank
you.
you. Yeah. Any final word before we call it out?
Ah, okay. So I think for me, again, I want to reiterate that clarity comes in the place of doing, keep doing. And then secondly, I tell people do daring daily. If you want to eat an elephant, you don't have to try to consume it at once. Just keep doing the small bites, but let there be a consistent doing on a daily basis. It just helps you and moves you closer to the goal. And then finally, disability is a mind game. Anyone with disability can live a full life once they can work on their minds to realize that once they can have it in their mind, they can actually make it happen. So I look forward to seeing you doing great things.
Thank you. And with that, we have come to the end of this particular interview. Once again, Crystal, thanks a lot. Our love and regards to the whole Irede team and your family. All right, bye bye. Hey, thanks a lot for taking the time to watch the podcast. We are super thankful for you taking that time and investing the time to learn. We hope that you find the story inspiring, and beyond that, that you've been able to articulate one or two things that you want to do differently in your own entrepreneurial journey. May I encourage you to please like, subscribe, comment, and please share the word within your own circle of influence, especially within those that you think are on the same entrepreneurial journey with you. May I also encourage you to please, beyond subscribing to our YouTube channel, follow us on our other social media platforms. That means a lot to us, and we can see that that helps us to track that we're making some progress and so making some impact. Thanks a lot once again for taking the time to watch, and to see you on the next episode.